What is up? Welcome to Waiting for Game. We made it past our first week, so we're on to episode 2. Not something a lot of podcasts in the Melee community can say, but we're here bragging about it.
Having an episode 2?
Having an episode 2.
Hell yeah.
Podcasts in general, how many can brag about that? So we're here, and we're gonna cut into it today. I don't know if that's what people say on podcasts. Sophomore slump. I'm saying stuff like cut into it.
You are acting like you've never done this before.
I've done this 60 times, maybe.
Yeah. So I mean,
I think
let's
more than that with the old podcast.
Possibly. I mean, I think it'd be fine if I weren't derailed by my wonderful panel of friends and guests, including one Ambi Sinister.
What's up?
And we know him as trying to figure out a way to say this which isn't reductive. Melee's friend to all, Slime.
Oh, you were talking about me. I thought you were going to describe Ambi.
No,
Yeah, I was waiting for the description of me, and then you used the friend. I was like, this is not
How about
me.
you describe yourself? Describe who you are.
What, me?
Because I can't place you either. You're the guy with the green fox profile picture.
I'm
on
the
Twitter.
green fox from Twitter. That's me. Whatever that entails. That's a variety of things, but that's what I am.
That's the brand.
Ambi's the guy who I like his tweets when they are long enough. Once he hits like 200 characters, I'm like, this must be funny or smart. Like, I lost track. I don't really understand, but at this point, this must be a good tweet.
You believe in the magic carpet ride of the Ambi tweet.
Once it gets long enough, yeah, I get it. I mean, it's like
I gotta get going now. My short form tweets need some work, I think, is what I'm hearing from this.
It's like the guy at the party who keeps talking about something. It's like, I don't know enough about this to really say if he's smart, but he sounds smart.
Well, also, he just sounds like he likes this thing, and that's enough,
Yeah. Guy at a
You're
party.
not smart, but
What a sign of the past. A guy at the party.
yeah, that's true.
It's been a bit since I've experienced that feeling.
But yeah, I'm Slime. I'm your friend. Not your friend as the viewer, but you know what? Let's take a step back. What's up? I'm on the podcast. I commentate Slippi Summit Champions League.
Please.
Obviously, there has been a name change, due to being a little more careful. I don't think that's any surprise. And then, it's been really, really fun. And I am, it's funny. I'm taking commentary more seriously than I ever have in my life, which means hitting up Wheat and paying him for statistics so I don't look like a dumbass.
How did you like it?
I liked it. It was just nice to be armed with some sort of knowledge, because I feel like I'm constantly getting shoved into the, like, even Aiden called me the everyman, and it's like, all right, I get it, but
the thing is that, like, so that's in the context of Melee, that, like, you can tell that Aiden's throwing shade, but I feel like that boy, just in the context of real world, that's also throwing shade.
Yeah, absolutely. And
he's
and
like,
that's
he hasn't been on 300 plane rides. He's a normal guy,
I have, though. It's like I am the story.
He hasn't spent a week in Iceland. He's a down to earth guy.
I'm not the everyman. I'm the guy who truly never even got close to making it, but tried while, like, having ADHD and not being able to practice efficiently. That's my story. And maybe that is, comes close to everybody. Either way. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with it. And I hope other people are as well. I've been getting a lot less hate on Twitter, even though I didn't get a lot to begin with. But the bad voices sound the loudest sometimes. So.
Feel that.
Wow. Huh. Who would know that putting out content sometimes feels like it's screaming into a void and just getting screamed back at by anime profile pictures.
Just got to get built different. You got to rebuild differently.
Build back better, some could say.
Oh, no.
So before I drop any more political slogans, you mentioned SCL.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
And we just came off, obviously last week, SCL Season 2, Week 1, one of the most fun Melee events in recent memory. I think everybody who I wanted to win ended up winning, and every set that I wanted to be a banger ended up being a banger. And then it's kind of a little down to earth. SEL season 2, week 2. Well, we had a lot of cool stuff, but obviously not everything was like banger 10 out of 10, you know. But I don't know. I thought a lot of really cool things happened there. Slime, obviously you were doing it live, you know, commentating. How did you enjoy the event?
It's really cool. Like so I'm constantly at odds with the idea of like hype online sets, you know, because there's always this idea, for instance, like Lucky Albert or like Coast to Coast connections and stuff, where you're like, maybe these players are frustrated that there's a little bit of delay or whatever, and maybe there's, you know, that's an excuse as to why like there's upsets happening, and it sucks. In all, there's this specter of why I shouldn't be excited. But what happens is you watch the Melee and you commentate the Melee and you're like, this is still really fun and cool. And for some reason, Summit Champions League has like manufactured these banger sets, even the ones that are like kind of like Albert Lucky. It's like a lot would consider it a throwaway, but then it's sort of retconned into a much cooler set due to Albert's context of just waking up in the interview, you know? And it's little moments like that I think are really cool, and it also speaks to the bedrock that is Melee is so solid that even online stuff, even this and that, can still like get you going in the morning, and that's cool.
Yeah, the Albert Lucky set, the thing that you mentioned about the like added story that Albert just woke up and then like the set was like really, really sloppy. I think it's sort of funny because it's sort of like an evolved round one pools type of environment where like sometimes like the reason you watch round one pools when a good player plays like a player you've never heard of is like, oh, well, like there's all sorts of reasons. Maybe you're hungover, maybe you're drunk, maybe it's just like whatever. And like some like, you know, guy that only 4 people know beats Ginger or something. I don't know. And that's cool. That's exciting and that's fun. And like seeing that like within the context of 2 really strong players playing against each other is a sort of, I think, a rare treat. So I think that's like you mentioned, sort of a fun thing about it.
Yeah, and it's like it's also the frequency is very cool, right? Like how many times have players played in the Slippi era that oftentimes maybe would never meet up in a year on LAN because like travel and expenses and all this stuff. It's like Genesis is just one bracket, you know, and these people playing against each other are it's maybe you want you want to see like, oh, how would this person do against this person, and it's just never going to happen. But with online, you can kind of eventually get there, you know, if they enter a lot and enter cross, you know, platform or the tournament and stuff like that, and that is another buff, and I think that's what a SCL also can bring.
I'm excited to hear about this cross-platform fighting as well.
Yeah, I said cross-platform. It's because I installed Slippi on my PlayStation 3. So
does Ryu come with that?
Ryu is in it, but he's it's like a wolf thing. It's just like another Samus. Right, because she's the fighting game character.
No, Ryu's another Mario. Come on,
small Ryu, baby Ryu,
small
dude,
Italian
baby Ryu, baby Ken in Mario Kart, driving I don't know, a ship. That's what Ryu is on, right?
I don't know if he has a form of transportation. I think he's on like a rooftop.
Yeah, I feel like he just runs. Yeah,
he runs everywhere.
That's in Mario Kart. He's just running.
He tattoos where he needs to go.
I do think that is something missing from Mario Kart, is having someone who can just run instead of using a cart.
There was a game. It was really quick. This is nice on my computer. Bomberman, PlayStation Racing. I think it was called Bomberman Racing. Bomberman Fantasy Race. You rode these like giant bunnies, and they didn't have wheels because they're bunnies, and they just ran they just ran fast, and it was actually so sick. We need more animal-based running racers featuring Ryu.
I think we can make this happen.
We did a lot of good work today.
Let's call it.
The whiteboard is full.
Let's call it a day. Yeah, if you see this podcast on your streaming app of choice, and it only runs 5 minutes. That's because we had to go work on a secret project.
Yeah, we had to get to work because that's how shit gets done. So,
but no, we're obviously talking about Summit Champions League. No, I think you're on the money here, man. It's this is like a really cool thing that I think SCL brings to the table more so than any other event. You watch like any other bustling major that we have right now, and you get to see all these really cool up and coming players who are Netplay fiends. And then every SCL, you get all the people who only show up for SCL and bump around, and it's super cool because you're like, well, who is going to win? Ben, who attends, like a tournament a day, or Albert, who we haven't seen in 6 months. Like, it's such a cool example of these two things crossing over, and one that I really can't wait to see in person. Ambi and I talk about this, is that like, dude, I'm waiting for all the people who think they're hot to go to a LAN major and
it was
like
all
round
of us.
2 pools.
It was all of us because it's an upgraded version of the initial thing that talked about like the first documentary, which was you think you're nice, you beat all your friends, you go to a tournament, you get fucking rocked. And now it's like you think you're nice and Slippi, you go to a tournament, all of a sudden Wheat is screaming in your ear while Ambi is just fucking drill shining you, and you can't get out because you don't know SDI that well. It's LAN, it's a little more tough, and he dumpsters you, and Wheat's like, oh sheesh, in your deep voice, and they don't know how to deal with that shit.
Damn, son. Yes, no, I agree. Sorry, I kind of was lost track there. No, like I would pay 100 grand. I would pay the player 100 grand. I would not pay $100,000. I would pay for his flight to whenever first major's back and just watch him crush the Zuppies of the world.
I'm actually very excited for specifically 100 grand. He was going to be my example too. I was like, dude, all the people that like hate Netplay but are still good, and they're just inevitably going to come back, and everyone's going to be like, the meta has advanced so much during Slippi, and then they're just going to get down tilted like everyone else in the world.
Although, okay, I think this player is very good. I think he is top 100, and I think he will do extremely well in Lanco's pack. But I can't imagine how hilarious it's going to be when Null comes back and he does the same thing. He's like, yeah, let's see if you can get past me. And then just gets like down tilted by or something.
You know how it's like, it used to be like Chillin was the Krillin, for everyone. Krillin dude. Null is the new Krillin. That's just how it is. If you get fucking, he's a dear friend to me. I have lost a lot of money next to Null at casinos. I've known him for a long time. He's the nicest guy, but man, if he is on track to become the Krillin, so he better fucking practice, because you're right, it's gonna be him. 404 Cray is gonna dumpster Null, and he's gonna be like pissed off getting 65th flying home.
I remember getting all of the data ready for the 2019 Top 100, and I felt like I was like a lawyer who really believed the person I was defending, and then you're digging and you find like more and more information. It's like, man, I wish I didn't see this. I know they're guilty now. And that was like me. I'd like be like, oh, he went to SmashCon and he lose to someone. It's like, oh, main stage, he'd lose to like Mikey the Marth or something.
Yeah,
Mikey the Marth player, not Mikey the Marth. Although Mikey the Marth is a great tag if anyone wants it.
Yeah, I think the sad thing about Null is that like even when he does really well, it's like tainted by like something that makes people think that it's really not good. Like, do you guys remember Null at Genesis Black? This is like my favorite example of a Null.
I thought you were so on the wave that we weren't going to mention it. like the Silent Wolf Axe 4-stock. It's like it's cool not to talk about it anymore.
Because the thing is with Null at Genesis Black is that he did so good at that tournament. Like if you get rid of the obvious thing that happened at that tournament, like he just like beat up a bunch of really good players, and I was like, oh shit, it's time for Null. He's gonna come up. It's finally arrived, the moment for him. And then that did not, unfortunately.
And then what happened to Krillin when he went up against Frieza?
I actually don't remember.
Yeah.
I thought you guys would pick that one up. I'm pretty sure he died.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be bad. It can't be any good, right? But
that's
just
use
the
what
context for this one.
But
I really remember none of Dragon Ball Z, but I did watch more than I'd like to of a 2.5-hour Toonami video, like literally just not a video essay, just the interstitials, where it's like,
of the guy in the
we're
spaceship.
gonna watch Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
stick around for 7 when we have a new episode of Yu Yu Hakusho, and I'm just sitting here like enthralled by this badly animated robot.
It's like watching all the Adult Swim bumps, but there's a robot who tells you what's coming up. That song
made
bangs.
Me feel
that piano track.
10 again.
But yeah, I think it's weird, right? Because it feels kind of. I feel sad because every time you see Hype Melee, like I was just saying, you feel like, oh man, LAN would be so much better, and that I don't like that feeling of wanting the better thing when what we have is really cool, but you just can't avoid it because it really is. And I think that's a thing I need to reconcile in my heart, where it's like, hey, sometimes it's okay to just love what's going on online and look forward to LAN, instead of being sad that you can't see it on the CRT being played. But that's okay.
Yeah, I think SCL does a good amount to being like a uniquely cool online thing. I think that other tournaments, I think, have it much worse than SCL, which we talked a little bit about last week. Whereas I think at least with SCL, there's like some fun, like, anything could happen between any two players tomorrow type of vibe to it, which I think is like uniquely captured here compared to like TMT or whatever random local that happens online. I think the feeling I get of like, oh, I wish this were LAN, it's a lot less bad for me watching SCL compared to other tournaments. So I think at least it has that going for it.
Yeah, there's a uniqueness. I've often compared it to like a GSL, which I think is cool. That's why I like commentating it. I was asked if I want to commentate at Smash Summit 10. I didn't really feel like doing it. I don't like this idea of being a Smash Summit commentator for a lot of reasons, but for some reason SCL is this cool like series, this chapter book, and it feels really natural, and that's why I like being a part of it, instead of like something like Smash Summit or even major tournaments. Like, keep me in the pools, bro. Keep me there.
Yeah, I mean, like Andy said, we talked about this before. I think we had another podcast where we talked about this at some point. This is like such a unique format that lends itself to Netplay in a way where it's not trying to be an in-person tournament that's happens to be on Netplay, right? Like this, you can't do this in person. You can't have people play for 4 weeks straight and fly 4 people out each week.
Right.
Like, this is something that you can only do here, which no other Netplay tournament really does, Like if you enter a Gallant or something, it's like that is a one single double elimination bracket, which was like the same exact thing you'd play if you went to an in-person tournament. That's what they're trying to do. But SCL tries to do something that like really it takes the the hardships that made us do this and try to turn them into positives.
It's funny you said do you remember, like, it was the first major that like came out? I think it was Pound. It was like one of the first big online tournaments, and there were waves of pools. And I remember Eamon was so mad because he was like, the only reason you have waves is because of like logistically you don't have enough setups, but everyone has setups. There's no reason to do this. He was so mad. And I'm like, dude, yeah, it does make sense.
Pound Online has a special place in my heart for trying to like really do the darndest to be a Netplay major when that phrase didn't exist.
True. Yeah.
And in the Slippi era, we take this all for granted. And I don't necessarily mean to praise them, more that it's just hilarious. They had worldwide entry, and then you would just get DQ'd if you were too far away. So like solo battle entered, and it's like, dude, what are you even doing? Who are you going to possibly play that you aren't just going to get immediately DQ'd? I loved it. And then it ended with Zain 6-0 in Hbox.
And that was on delay, right? That was before
on delay. Yeah.
And that is crazy. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. And I think that's a really good point, though. Someone's got to do something first. And then it opens, it lets you remold it and refigure things out. And you just take all that shit from the community, you know? It's like, this sucks. It's like, yeah, well, build on that, jerks.
Well, I don't want to make you upset. You know, you're getting a little angry right now, but let's talk about the week 2 upsets.
Yeah. Rattle them off for me. I have a terrible memory.
All right, so we talked a lot about the week 1 upsets last week, and we kept this going as a little topic. Definitely fewer upsets. Probably biggest one. What do we got to say? SFAT beating IBW. What do you think, Ambi?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was pretty definitively an upset. I definitely think that like he played much better than IBW that particular day. So
yeah,
like it didn't feel that upsetty because it was like IBW not playing good and SFAT playing good.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, but just like in terms of what happened, that was definitely one of the ones that I was going to talk about.
I mean, the flavor of upset is different than it was last week. Last week, the upsets were like, who is this guy, Dacky, beating Aklo or whatever, you know, this established player. Who are these people beating these? Like, who is Kadoran and what is he doing beating Plup?
Yeah.
This week the flavor is definitely like, we know both of these players are good. We just didn't expect that to happen. Probably the biggest example of that is Gatsu 3-0ing None.
Yeah.
It's like, look, dude, we knew Gatsu's good, but
he looks so good now. It's fucked up.
I don't get it. I don't get why now.
It brings a tear to my eye. Obviously, there's the idea that, like, you know, None is really going through some stuff, and I think that's always worth sort of not an asterisk, but you know, you just want to sympathize with someone who has been a competitor for so long. And but yeah, Gatsu looks like a monster, not just against None, but you know, against the field, and obviously Hbox in that one clip on Hbox's stream, and. Yeah, I think it's really important, like you said, the flavor of upset. There's like types of upsets, and there's like X player played like shit. X player came out of nowhere and played amazing, while the like Y player was playing great. And there's like, and it sucks because there's this scale of legitimacy to these upsets, and sometimes you have to file it in a that guy had a really bad day, and you know that's. Whatever, but I think if you're a true competitor, you're kind of like, that's.
I mean, it's your job to have a good day, right? So
yeah. No, what I'm saying, if you catch that win on someone's bad day, you know that, and you aren't. It's not like you're fucking Jake Paul crying and hugging your whole family. It's like, no, they were playing bad, and that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, like from the standpoint that I look at that, probably veers more towards like. How to think about that in a ranking seeding capacity. And it's always like, you know, if I know someone's having a really hard go of it, I appreciate them still playing the game. And I might not fault the player who loses necessarily as hard as I would like congratulate the player who wins, right? Yeah, like you don't have to weigh them evenly, right? You can have a really great win, and then it can also be not a horrible loss for the other person. So I think like in terms of online that like you got to think about that, right? Like there's still bad losses to be had, but if you have a bad loss and you continue to play really well the rest of the time, I get it.
Do players know that you're the guy that fucking ruins their life all the time by seeding them? Do they know it's you?
No, I try to keep
you don't want
wraps.
that smoke. You don't want that smoke.
No.
All right. I'm not gonna
I feel like they find out though. It was like that and ranking Fiction 12th. Those were the two things that were trying to be kept under wraps. That eventually...
I
felt so bad for you guys.
I would still rank him 12th. See, the thing is, I ranked him 12th. I joked about it at the event. I seeded him like 8th or something like that. Like, I don't know. I want the guy to come back. I want the guy to. He doesn't have to play again. I just want him to tweet again.
Yeah, you know what? I don't.
I think we talked about this before. I love his tweets. They're so good. It's so like there's two sides to it, right? The one is went on a walk today, and then it's like 4 pictures of like trees that don't even look good. It's not even like a pretty. It's just like brown trees, and it's just like okay. And then it's just like taking shots at nothing. Like no one needs to take shots, but he just does it. And it's not like Leffen, who is taking shots because he thinks he's doing the world a service, right? It's like if I yell at this TO publicly, then it means that best of fives will happen more often and the player will be better. Like he's under no thought that what he's doing is for anyone like but himself. It's not even selfish. It's just like this should happen.
All right, listen. Counterpoint to this. Chroma had this tweet that was like,
well, Chroma doesn't exist on Twitter anymore, so
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right.
I think you might have lost this one.
Chroma had this tweet, and he said he was like, fiction dealing with what we all deal with, which is the horrible reality of being held accountable for what you say on the internet. And that's what I always think. I'm like, you don't get to just say, I'm just putting my thoughts out there, bro. Take it or leave it. And then get pissed off. You don't get to do that. You either do it and it doesn't affect you like the Chad that you think you are, or you hold accountability. You have accountability and you wrestle with the shitters like I do. I mean, I'm not perfect at being accountable for things I say either, but I do wrestle with the shitters and I do hear them out. And it's like, damn, just be honest with yourself. And that's what I feel like he wasn't doing in terms of Twitter. However, he's really active on like teaching people. He's teaching Bird Person now, who is someone I have used to dominate. And now that's not looking good for me. If I ever go to a USC tournament again.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to read more about lessons with him, you could go to Ambi Sinister's article.
Oh, that's right.
PlanetBanet.net. Right that. Yeah, I was surprised by how popular that article was. I really thought it was going to be like, a 20 like Twitter post or whatever.
Listen up, you're going to have to accept the fact that you're a pretty good writer. I know it's like, I know it sucks to do that, but you're going to have to just face yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I write pretty good and people want to read my stuff. So,
but yeah, I did write that after taking a couple lessons with some of the different coaches and like watching like maybe 70 hours of fucking lesson content.
Yeah, I'm trying to get you to do a LOD lesson.
Does LOD teach Fox players? That sounds fun.
I don't know who LOD teaches, but I want you to get a LOD lesson. What is it, like the golden path to improvement or something
golden
like
path, yeah. What was it, like thinking about situations? I think this is the golden path. I was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
He teaches med students, bro. Relax.
Yeah.
It's funny? I had a Apology Man on one of the way back in one of the Bad Melee podcasts because he just liked Melee and stuff. And we connected. And I was like, how do you get good? You're like a top 8 competitor when you played Marvel and stuff, and you played DBZ. And he was like, I just literally think about situations all the time. I just imagine them in my head, and that's how I learn. And I'm like, you're a psychopath. I don't know who you think you are, Vineeth.
Yeah. It's nuts. To all the children out there who, like me and like everyone else, got into the scene, and they're like, maybe one day I'll be a top player. It's like the first thought you have after seeing like anyone play. You see Mango play and you're like, I'll be the next person to play like that. I'll be just as cool and just as good. It's so crazy just how like incredibly different some top players are at the way that they think about that. I think Leffen's the best example, right? In terms of Melee, is that you could give that guy anything. And I feel like a month from now, he will be, top whatever in the world. Like he did it with
good at learning.
Yes, good at learning. Like he did it with obviously in Melee, he's one of the best of all times, and then he did it with Dragon Ball Fighters, and then he didn't play any Tekken in person because I think it was during COVID. But he got pretty high ranks in Tekken, and then I don't know. I think he did something with Grand Blue Versus. And then in Ultimate for a while, right? What's up?
He played Ultimate as well.
Ultimate,
yeah.
Just like a frontline worker.
When he beat Tweak. Yeah.
No, that's right. Yeah.
In a Melee context, he is top 5 in Europe on a box.
Yeah,
I got my box. I don't know how he could do that. I was so excited the other day when I bared a Firefox without having to put my entire mental fortitude into it. I was like, yes, dude, I did it. I'm gonna be the next Greg Turbo.
We get there, dude. I remember it was at 8:05 Alive. I was in pools. I lost to Lovage's Chic. But that's beside the point. I was talking to Holka, who used to play a lot. And we're just talking, and I was like, "How'd you do?" He's like, "Oh, I did this. How'd you do?" Kind of just commiserated. I was like, "Yeah, man, we just gotta keep grinding." And then he looked at me. He's like, "We gotta beat Mango one day." And I was like, "Yeah, we do. Like, that's what we do it for." There's this idea that like, "Oh, that guy's not that good. How could he be?" And then you get down there and you're like, "Okay, never mind."
Yeah, I mean, it's like when you put more thought into what you were going to do on stream when you beat Armada, when you put more thought into that than like how to shuffle correctly, it's like you're not built for this, man.
Don't visualize the trophy ever.
It's like, well, I'll fist bump him, and then I'll do a little tiny.
How do I pop off? I think the one exception to this is definitely Hungrybox. I think it's probably a big part of why Hungrybox has fallen off so much. Because that like he's like halfway through game 3, and he's like, all right, what am I doing at the end of this set?
I was the one who broke the story. I had the scoop. Remember Off the Sticks when he checked his fucking watch and everyone got mad at him at SmashCon, right? Against Mewtwo King? Yeah, dude, because he wasn't wearing one ever until that day. Think about it, bro.
Yeah,
he played for the clip in his life, and now his life is clips. Here we are.
And the man's got 10K subs now. He's actualized it. He really has. It.
So if you can be everyone else, or you can be Hbox. Those are your two choices in this world.
Are we gonna see him live stream his tournament runs? Do you think when he goes to
run a GoPro on his forehead, just like
I don't know.
He's gonna have a GoPro on his forehead, and like Ua is gonna travel with him with a GoPro on his forehead, just looking at Hbox. We're gonna have multiple angles.
Oh yeah, the Alex 19, but you're get into top 8 and stuff like that. I do wonder if this new era of like, so Hbox has a lot of subs now, and it's like if he leaves for 4 days, it's gonna bleed, the same way it would with Mango and stuff. But that these players are getting more and more secure in their streaming careers, which is awesome. But it actually might lead to a couple more tournaments that they don't go to, which is not Pog, but the way it goes.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely something we were trying to reckon with before, right? It's just when you have COVID as a really big thing to change it, it's definitely going to be something that people thought about before, but now that they are out of the habit, then they'll have to like think about it. And I think Ultimate had a tournament where they streamed on a certain top player's stream, like a tournament stream, and of course the Mango always streamed on Mango's stream. Like, it's going to be probably something that we're going to have to deal with at some point, where it's like, all right, you want Hbox to come to your whatever tournament, come to like this Utah tournament. All right, well, he's going to have to put it on his stream. Like, that's just it.
So the first Ultimate Summit, actually, we reached out to players at the time who were very, we had the three Melee players and 3 Ultimate players, that was a whole thing. And, but actually, one of the players we reached out to, who no longer produces YouTube content, is he asked for $10,000 to just go to the event, and we were like, no. And then he was like, okay, well, what about like what if I do this and this and this? Like, he's trying to negotiate against himself, and we were like, no, that's okay. And so it's that was already happening when a select few were very successful. I don't think they would try to pull that shit now, but compromises ended up being made to where it's like, okay, yeah, you can stream while you're at this place, or there'll like be space for you here. And I see tournaments in the future making concessions there for that in a healthy way, I think. Because I think at Smash Summit 8, when Axe won, because we had those stream setups, because we recognized this was something that was a draw for people to just be at the tournament. When Axe won, he just hopped on his stream, and it was great. And then Smash Summit 9, the same shit happened with Zain won that one, right?
No.
Insane that you don't remember. Who won Special Number 9?
I do remember.
It was Hbox.
That was Hbox. Remember
It
the
was right.
bear,
The
the whatever he did?
I'm telling you, I had the worst
Firefox.
I have the worst fucking memory. But yeah, and he did the same thing, right? He fired up the stream, and that's like that is something that I think is going to be a cool actually in between that allows people to continue traveling, but also get their eat the cake too. So.
Yeah, I mean, but they're not going to have a stream set up at like Evo. Oh,
why the fuck not?
Evo.
Well, Evo, yeah.
That might be. There might be.
But let's say Genesis, right? Like,
yeah.
Why not? I know these tournaments run in the red, but if they start to get up, get a little smarter about monetizing and make the correct decisions, and because they have so many viewers, dude, you can sell that. They can start budgeting for that kind of shit, and maybe someone who. However, there are tournaments that you're just not going to miss, like Genesis. So maybe they don't have to. There's always some. It's fucky, but let's say like Gommel, not everyone's going to go to Gommel. It's not the one everyone goes to, but it could be with the right incentives.
So, yeah, how you get this to happen is it's like when you are, I assume, it's like when you're a mob and you want a kid to help you. You've got like 5 kids running around, and you're like, can someone turn the TV off? No one does it. So you have to like call them out specifically. It's like, Gerald, turn the TV off. So you got to call someone out specifically. So let's say, let's start it off. Kevin Deere, at Battle of BC, you must have a stream set up.
Well, it's stream setups, but it's also other shit, right? And I will say the worst part about being a TO is like having to acquiesce players who may just flame you anyway, or like never play by the rules and like show up late and just like take every little inch you give them and more. And you're like, I'm supposed to help this fucking person out. It's so annoying. And every TO knows what that's like. And so there is also a line where you're like, I don't care if this person comes. Fuck it. And so it's there's so many dynamics going on, but I think it's all fixed when people can earn a lot more money in general. And that's what Ludwig taught me.
So I have an interesting thought to do for this particular line of thinking, right? I think that, like, just from my perspective about this like rise of streaming among the Melee community, among the top players, my perspective is that it will probably make the championship events like a lot more meaningful. Just like, if you think about the fact that there was sort of like a tournament saturation problem a little bit when it came to very, very large events, right? Because like tournaments at which all the gods would attend were like pretty frequent, and having to compare them all, like, oh yeah, like, is this tournament as big as this tournament? Like, is Gommel a super major? Like, there was like this. It was very, very common to just have the whole gang at like a Wimbledon type level of event. And I think that my gut feeling about the tournament landscape after COVID is that, like, your top players with really, really successful streams might limit their appearances to like, like the Genesises or like the big houses, which, makes things like Gommel or regional events more open for players that are not Hungrybox or not Zain to potentially win. It makes their appearances a lot more meaningful. Like, oh my God, Zayn's at this event. I don't think that like the mid-level players won't show up. Like, I think that that's anyone that's not like in the super elite tier. I think I don't anticipate that hurting attendance too much. But I think that, even if this does end up like making the top players not want to attend every single major, I don't think that that's necessarily like a doomsday scenario, because I think that like once Genesis rolls around, like that's just going to be fucking crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I guess, okay, 2 things. I think that as you grow older as a Melee player and a Melee fan, you start really appreciating the collegiate Melee like way more. It's like, yeah, it's fun to see Mango and Zain like just duke it out, but it's also sick to see, Dacky Albert or something.
Dude, round 2 pools. Melee Stats talks about it. Round 2 pools at a major is like the best thing. You walk around like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah,
and
dude,
you just like
Frenzy versus Rick. Only like 10 people know about that shit, and I saw it live. A reverse fucking 4-star. It was the sickest set I'd ever seen. No one will know. Frenzy versus Rick, Big House, last Big House.
It's, I mean, that's it, man. That is what I'm looking forward to. Just wandering around, and it's like 2 players who you recognize, and it's like, oh, this got to be good. And everyone else is watching, like Mango, 3-stock, whoever, to 3-0 him.
Yeah, right. Sometimes, though, you get lucky, and you get the Mango magic, if you will, and that is also extraordinarily beautiful.
Jim Jam Flim Flam broke the news of that to me. We were at an Indian place in Oakland, and he broke the news. It was it's like that guy whispering into George W. Bush's ears.
Yeah. We just like, oh no. Oh man. But yeah, I think that's a really good point, Ambi, and I think that there is always going to be a push and pull, because so the big secret that is sort of getting unearthed and was getting unearthed as tournaments grew more stronger and business minded is that attendance no longer has to be this gigantic factor of revenue, and your Battle of BC, if it has a good enough distribution model and a sales model for brands that they can earn enough money to not need to like just shill and pump for that 500 entrance cap or something, because a lot of these top players get free fucking entrance anyway. They get flown out, right? That's the game. That's how you do it. Even Hbox asks for free flights to this day, and it's like I think that it's going to be on the TOs to really find out what it really means to earn more money in ways that aren't tournament the attendance. That's I hope they can. I hope they seek the correct sources.
And that was SCL Week 2 upsets.
I know. We went crazy.
No,
it's okay. I got time.
I appreciate your answers. You got a great insight. I would just feel very dumb if we put all these things up and didn't actually talk about it.
No, let's do them.
All right. Ambi wrote this one. Is Zain the next Armada?
Yes.
I say no.
Here we go. This is what I was excited about. And so I put this after the upsets because I had a very specific point that I wanted to make, right? Which is that we've seen it both times with Season 1 of SCL, Season 2 of SCL, where Mango beats the guy and everyone goes crazy. And then Mango loses to the guy and everyone's like, eh. And I can only help but think of Armada. And of all the times Armada won like a big tournament, and it was just the normal thing to have happen. So I'm starting to slowly feel that Zain is doing this to my brain, where I just sort of expect him to win, and then like whenever he doesn't win, it's like a royal flush. Like no matter how important the tournament is, it's like, oh my god, Zain lost.
Yeah, I mean that's like why every single set where someone beat Armada made our greatest sets of all time thing. I think that's a great point, and I think the biggest difference between Zain and Armada in my eyes is that if we were to talk about Zain in this capacity, we would not have such a stir from him on Twitter. When this inevitably gets tweeted out by Edwin, so we can get like 20 quote retweets on this. Thank you, IBDW, for interaction farming, for helping us interaction farm.
Like an AI in a video game. Sorry.
No,
you just aggro him.
Like Zain is such he's not a blank person. He's got a great personality, but he would never treat us like Armada would treat us. Armada's very nice. Armada hasn't had any beef with Melee Stats, but I've definitely heard some issues about how maybe a lot of sets where he lost are some of our favorite sets. Or
Zain does not complain about shit that most players complain about, and I think that's very special.
That's why I don't think he's the next Armada. Look, I love Armada. Armada's my favorite player. I was the guy who was excited when Armada won and not excited when Mango beat Armada in sets that I would call some of the greatest of all time. I was in the Royal Flush hotel room and I was like, yeah, but Armada could have won. Like,
yeah,
it's fan who's like, oh man, if only the Patriots beat the Eagles or whatever.
I will say, when we watch Royal Flush, we were actually getting ready to shoot a Bad Melee podcast, and Dave was there, Kira, and we're all watching on like someone's phone, and it was so funny watching Dave. Like it would like Armada would take a stock and be like, Mayo can't do it, he's washed. He will never do this. And then Mago would take a stock and he's like, he's gonna do it. I can't believe this. And it was just back and forth that whole time. And then he won, but I dead ass being even literally the face of Mango's fan. I was like, he kind of played sloppy. Like Armada dropped some shit that he usually doesn't, and even I was that guy. So I feel you there, and I think that Zain is interesting because he is someone who is great, so great, and he does not give a shit about the same stuff that a lot of top players do. And that's so cool because he's just so secure. And I think that came out in the interview after their set too at SCL, where I was like, that you play Mango a lot, is that a problem? Like you give it away your secrets and shit. And that was just my like robot brain thinking about, well, you got to win anyway, right? And he said, no, like I just want to play sick melee and it's for the love of the game. And it broke me in half. I was like, this guy, this is so sick. So in that way, I do think he's different from Armada, who tends to value the W in a different way, but at the same intensity, obviously. But I will say, Shang Tsung, right? Mortal Kombat. When Zain defeated Armada at Shine 2018, he Shang Tsung'd his soul away from him. And he spiritually became Armada, and that's why Ambi is right.
I dig it. That's a
good
good
who's right
interpretation.
or wrong. No, I mean, I think you're right in the aspect of, yeah, like, when Zain loses, that's big. That's how this is. And I don't particularly know if that's going to be the case in LAN, in a world where he has to fight. Like imagine a Summit 9 plup and a
So beautiful.
whatever, take your pick for Leffen, Evo 2018 Leffen, plus a Sheik, apparently. Plus Hbox, Clutchbox, real Hbox.
Mm-hmm.
And the occasional Mango that we see at like SCL, the first week of every SCL.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, do I think that every tournament goes in, he will be favored like Armada was for a time? Yeah, but no, I think you're right on the money. Like, if Zain loses, it's fun, and it's not because I like to see Zain lose necessarily, but there's some magic in like seeing someone overcome this beast.
That's sports. That's sports,
yeah.
Esports competition. That is just seeing the underdog prevail. It's in our brains, since we were in the caves. And it sucks when you're on top because people wait and they kind of like twiddle their fingers waiting for that moment so they can feel something. And your failure brings them joy. And it's a fucked spot to be in if you're Zain or whoever.
Well, we might not see it end soon if we are truly in a Division 1 fast faller meta. Now, Ambi, when you sent me your ideas for topics, this was like the most Ambi topic I could have imagined. Division 1 fast faller meta. So I'm going to let you go off on this one because I know you got.
Yeah, I mean, I it's not necessarily like a huge thing. I just think that this is sort of something that I've been thinking about with regards to the Netplay landscape as it differs from like the traditional LAN landscape. And something that I can't help but notice when you look at the different, like the people that are in each division, is that there are 7 fast fallers and Zain in Division 1 right now. And I think that's very interesting because I feel like historically that was not necessarily the case. I think that for a long time, you would hear shitters from like different game communities talk about Melee, about how it's just, the space animals and it's just like, 20xx, blah, 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 blah. And, people would always be like, no, like there's so much character variety in the game right now. It's like very interesting how like, like you can play tons of different characters and like still have a lot of success. And I just think that it's so interesting that like the meta has shifted to be so fast faller centric at the top right now, except for Zain, who's like reaping the benefits of the fact that like everyone is able to be eaten for breakfast by him, I think. So I'm just interested to see like what you guys think. Is this like a transient thing? Is this like something that will persist like after LAN comes back? I know that like a lot of floaty players complain that like the spacing is a little bit different and that like edge guarding is really hard on Netplay. All of this is like very like nebulous to me in my brain, but I want to know.
Yeah,
what you guys
well,
think.
I think that it's a direct parallel to like Hbox when he was really dominant. You know, he was Armada did him the favor of switching to Fox, and he was just shitting all over Spacies. And then, you know, like I don't know. I think that things will be the same for sure. I think floaties will get farther, but I think they're pretty far away from kind of touching Zain at the moment, and that's just a feeling. Take it for what you will.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, kind of something I brought up in the last point is that I think Zain's current standing is like unmatched by anyone right now. You know, obviously the only close one is Mango, and even then, I don't think Mango has had a point of really being definitively number one in this era. But we are seeing a time where Plup is like in Division 2 or right outside of it and just like hiding away. We might see him work his way up to Division 1 somehow. Axe, like, I don't know what that dude's doing. I mean, obviously, like, we have not seen him in tip-top form recently. I'm not going to say that right now him who is like having trouble making it into SCL is going to beat Zain. That's not what I'm saying. But when you throw a bracket where you have Amsa, Wizzy, Plup, Leffen, Sheik, maybe like a Hbox in form, I don't think we're gonna have the issue of like, man, everyone in top 8's a spacey or anything like that. Like, I think you're right. It's when people try to complain about it, they generally are pretty wrong. But
yeah, I just think it's interesting that like specifically the spaceys seem to not be getting hit with whatever plague is making everyone not do well, right? You'd think it'd be more evenly distributed, but
I do. Well, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say maybe they're finding out that their whatever mid-tier character they're using isn't actually fun. Like, it's fun on land, but when you actually have to like play it on lag or whatever, it's like, wait a second. It turns out I only like being cheesy versus people.
I do think that there is the thing, the floaties will have a delicious, bountiful feast like fucking Beowulf when they come back to land, because no one's picking up Peach. No one's picking up Luigi. All these Netplay youngsters that started the game, they're going to be Falcos. And they're not going to know how to wave dash out of shield. And it's going to be, these Peach players are going to eat well. And that is something that is very interesting to me. Maybe they don't go farther because just in general, but they're going to collectively have a better time. Dude,
Ices. We're all going to be losing to Ices.
Oh, God.
We're going to be like, how are we losing? They can't wobble. But like, no one remembers how they work. It's like, wait, which one of you am I supposed to even hit now? Yeah, no, I think you're pretty right on the money. There's definitely like an ebb and flow to all of this. And yeah, right now we're seeing like the grinders, right? And I think, I don't know, in Melee, maybe, I'm saying maybe because I'm not sure if this is right and I don't want to get flamed. Maybe the people who have like a heavily grinding attitude, like I want to play 8 tournaments a week, maybe those are the people who are naturally gravitated towards fast fallers. And maybe the people who are like, I'll work my 6-figure job and then go to 5 majors a year and get top 60 or whatever.
The rainbow.
Maybe those people are.
That's the like rainbow.
The Keizu. It's all like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like maybe those people are the you know, the Sheiks or the Peaches or the Puffs or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah, but I think it's a good question to ask.
Yeah, the thing with this is that you get the ire of the Spacies players and the ire of the floaties. So like,
everyone's got ire. It doesn't matter anymore. Everyone's angry and pissed all the time at their characters because when you lose in Melee, it feels like shit. You get knocked around and it feels like shit, and you get mad. And that's why we need to take everyone's phone in a basket when we go to majors, like the fucking SAT. And you put it in a basket, and then no one can touch their fucking phone.
The real thing about this is that like. So you're right. You get mad, but then you realize that you can't get mad, but you're still mad. It's not like Ultimate where it's like, fine, I'll play Rob now.
Yeah. You're like stuck on a track.
You like lose and you're like, I guess I'll go Fox now. And then you're like, no, I won't win as Fox. You like know it at the time. It's like when you're a kid and you're angry and you like rationalize it. It's like, I shouldn't be angry right now, but you're still so angry that you like can't stop.
This is the curve. This is the curve, but he went with it, and he just chose Fox now.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, man.
I'm just saying.
I don't know what that guy's up to. I've seen a lot of people get some wins on him, but who's to say?
Who is to say?
Our next topic, I guess, let's go into. I guess we have to talk about Hbox this week.
Can I be real? I don't watch the streams. I watch the clips. But even then, I don't watch them a lot. I just I hear tales recounted of the screaming, and I say, I can imagine that, and I do.
There's not even anything new, which is why the topic title is somewhat defeated. I don't have, he did pretty well versus Cody. It seems like he might win. He beat Lucky. But I feel like it is impossible to have a podcast about Melee on a week-to-week basis and not feel the need to, at least in passing, mention Hbox.
And you know what that's called, Wheat? It's called marketing.
Yeah, no, he is what does he say? It's about the narrative or something. He's controlling the narrative or something like that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. The fact that he is always on our mind is a testament to his impact, on the scene in the past and currently. And I guess props off to him for just being, because here's the thing, Hbox isn't doing as well as he used to, and that's very obvious. But when he screams really loud and then pops off and this and that and sometimes wins, we don't think about the fact that he doesn't do well nowadays as well as he used to. We think about all that other stuff, and he is really good at understanding topics and what people will want to talk to him about and solving that. And that's what he did.
No, okay, I disagree. He is not popping off to be like, hey, everyone forget that I got 3-0'd by Fable. Double 3-stocked on Dreamland. This is not that. It's like I'm watching Better Call Saul, right? I'm watching the rise and fall of this player. Every single thing he's doing, the eyes are on him, and it's canonized, right? When he pops off on Dark Gen X, that's a big moment, and it doesn't matter if he shouldn't be popping off by beating Dark Gen X, or beating Otez or whatever.
Otez was the one I was going to mention.
It doesn't matter that he shouldn't be popping off. In the moment, we're there for it. I talked about it. I think this was last week. I talked about it speedrunning. It's like you want to watch the world record. That's why you watch speedruns.
Sure.
You might watch because that's chill to be in their stream and you just like the game. Yeah. But everyone's there because deep down they want to see the world record be beat while they're watching. But when you're Hbox, everyone's watching for you to pop off. And unlike the world record, you can just do that whenever you want.
Yeah.
So he's just whipping it out whenever. No, I think it is weird that he keeps doing this. I don't hate it. I definitely think that this will be something that we have to reconcile at some point in the future. Like how much testosterone he seems to have. We might have to do some tests on him at some point. But
I'm really curious if he's going to keep doing this when LAN comes back.
I mean, he was.
But
right?
he wasn't, right?
But, like Otez?
Well, yeah, because those ones were short
but...
work. I think the stream changes everything, right? He is literally alone, and he's in his room, and there's a chat that will react to anything he says. And that's how chats work. You say any emote, and it'll start flying on the screen, and that temptation is too much for him. And if he was sweating a little bit during a set with Otez, it was, or did he? And you know what? Maybe this is what he always wanted to do, but he couldn't because he was at a venue, and that's my theory.
So it's just all bottled up in Hbox. You'd think he'd be doing better rather than worse if he was really this pent up this whole time. Now that his demons are free.
There's an old our SSBM thread about how popping off can maybe deflate your power. And it's you're releasing all this energy before you're finished.
This sounds like
run.
a red pill.
I know, right? But I remember reading it. It was years ago. And I was like, this is someone thought about this a lot because there's some paragraphs here. And I always think about that when I see people pop off not at the very end of the tournament. And I'm like, Better watch out. A guy on Reddit said you miss some of your energy.
I to tie this back into Hbox, I always had this theory that, like, did you ever watch I mean, obviously we all watched Hbox sets. Did you ever watch Hbox during a LAN Hbox set? He would do like the weirdest stuff. He would roll his eyes if he was like down 3 stocks to 2 or something.
Very emotive, yeah.
And I would always think to myself, I don't know if it's subconscious or if he's doing this on purpose. I don't think he's doing it on purpose, but maybe I'll write a Reddit post about how he is, and someone will believe me. But like, there's you watch his face, and you can just tell that he thinks he's doing horribly, and then you watch the screen, and he's like winning or something like that. And the disconnect between that, I don't know. I've always wondered, how does that affect the player sitting right next to him, where he's like visibly shrugging, and it's like, what headspace does that put you in as a competitor that has to play him?
It is another thing to encounter. You know? You have to process that.
That stuff bothers me a lot, just as a player.
Yeah.
I really get pissed off when that's happening.
I mean, like, if you watch just his reactions to playing like SFAT or whatever, you'd be like, oh, this guy's getting destroyed. But then you watch the stream and he's up like 2-0 and is going to 3-0 him. And it's just so weird, the disconnect between that. I don't know. It's like lulls you into a false sense of security if you just look at their emotions.
I've always said that as in LANs, you know, as the top 8 continued, Hbox looked more and more like he was like the guy in Shadow of the Colossus as you kept defeating Colossi, and he just gets more like fucked up and raggedy and like like his shit gets torn, and it's like that. He just looks by the end of by grand finals, he's like so drained, and I'm like, damn, the calories that this guy is spending, you know, on his brain, insane. But I think here's the thing. I think it boils down to, is it genuine? Is it not? That's what I think about a lot of all people. And I genuinely think I've spent enough time with Hbox, at least in a professional capacity, to believe that when he screams, he actually does mean it. And now he's just in an environment where not only is it accepted, it's rewarded.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a feedback loop, right? If I did something dumb and I got 40 subs for it, I'd be like, well, this can't be that dumb then.
Yeah, Ludwig drinks out of bidets to this day, hoping we'll pay him again. Like we did at
we might have to look into that. We'll talk about this off stream.
I just did it. I just did it again. We're like, cool, man. All right.
This seems like a bigger problem.
That's hilarious. Not a problem at all.
No, I would do it. I would do it too if I were him. That was the thing. I would always drink for that bidet for $40. Whenever I saw the video, I was like, no, he's right. This is correct.
Yeah, you just do that. The value is insane.
Imagine if you just did that a couple times per hour. And that was your job.
There's those
You clocked in 8 hours a day, drinking a bidet.
You're at the bar after work. What do you do? Oh, man. The game's on. Let's watch that.
Tinder profile. Yes. Find some way to get around it. Small business owner.
A plumbing expert.
Making moves.
I used to read the Deadspin Fun Bag, and there was always this hypothetical where it's like, if your job for 8 hours a day was to just push a red button every 10 seconds in a silent room for like $1 million. Yeah, some people's actual jobs. Would you do it? And Drew McGarry, the guy who writes all the answers, he's like, absolutely the fuck not. Like, you have no idea. That would destroy you, and you like, it'd be cool for the first week, and then you'd be like, I can't do this. So yeah, maybe, but at least bidet water hydrates you. So maybe, what do I know? Yeah,
this is definitely an experiment, and if Ludwig.gg wants to conduct this experiment on someone, then I'm a willing guinea pig. But until then,
we'll send you the DocuSign, you know, all your the waiver. So
it's just like some weird, like Skinner experiment where I'm just in a box drinking from a bidet.
It's like Mr. Beast, really. I mean, he'll do that before we do.
Yeah, it's the race to see who can pay me to drink from a bidet. Miss gifts in my DMs right after this. Yeah. But until then, we're gonna keep doing this little podcast, and we gotta talk about Europe. this week, unlike Hbox didn't do anything this week. It's just we are forced to talk about him. This week, Europe did a lot of stuff. We heard a lot about what's going on with their scene. Obviously, they had the same circuit. And the winner, well, the first place at the same circuit by this June is going to be invited to Smash Summit 11. Probably the first, definitely the first important LAN tournament that we're going to see. That is huge news.
Yeah. Is it the same group that did like Samelon? Like the wood cabin tournament in like the fucking Great North or something?
Good question.
Is it that I think they're Norwegian? The Brult guys are Norwegian, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, so this is like every like notable European scene gets one tournament, one like monthly tournament held in the last week of the month. So we already saw, this is going to be testing me. I know we already saw Phoenix Blue. That's from Sweden. We are seeing Regen, which is from someone. Germany, UK, who knows? I can point out the flags if you're up.
It's all just Europe for me, unfortunately. You're usually the Europe guy in our group, so if you don't know, I don't think.
Man, I am a
like I know 5 European players, and that's it.
But the point is that each like significant country gets their own little tournament. They run their own little, Netplay tournament, and then they have the people enter, and then there is a point system for that, which I believe is rewarded at the end of the year. There's going to be some LAN thing in Europe, I believe, but for a little midway point, we get the top player in there to be entered into Summit, which, right now, if you ask anyone who the number one player in Europe is, Leffen's the obvious answer. But looking at the standings right now, do you know who it is, Slime? Quick pop quiz.
Is it Prissant?
It's I wish it was
Prissant too.
I love Prissant.
Dude,
is it Pipsqueak?
It's Pipsqueak, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. Definitely, in a scenario where I think the naysayers would bring up how Leffen has been one-handed now, and when he wasn't one-handed, he was on a box. Like, I think if you want to be an asshole about it, there's definitely ways to do it. But like Prissant, got Prissant on the mind. Pipsqueak, legitimately like one of the players to like make the biggest leap during this whole coronavirus. And if we get to see him, that would be huge. He was Prissant's coach at Smash Summit 9, and he went on like some janky cardboard box controller and did some work, I heard.
He's a really nice guy too, and he's extremely talented as well as Prissant. And I think they are who I think of when I think of like the EU Fox in general, the Europe Fox, also Prof. It's just these like killers. And I know that's such a general thing to say and ultimately means nothing, but I like the idea that if I don't expect them to do bad ever. When I'll expect, I'm gonna say it again, Null to maybe drop the ball once in a while. And I just, that's really sick.
Yeah. Pipsqueak. Okay. This is going to be a fun little game because I will say something about Fox and then I will let Ambi correct me. But Pipsqueak seems very focused, at least, if you go on his Twitter and wade through the tweets. I follow him on Twitter. I don't block him. I don't mute him.
You visit him like a house.
Pipsqueak, I read your tweets. Don't take this wrong. But once you wade through the tweets, you see him talk about how important reaction tech chasing is off of whatever. It's not just based on, we know reaction tech chasing, like mostly in the form of grabs and throws, like down throw reaction tech chasing a Sheik or Falcon or something along those lines. But he has it a very important part of his game plan off of like anything. He will like nair you at certain percents because it'll lead to a knockdown, and he is more inclined to do reaction tech chase, or he can do that again, than up airing or whatever, which is more percent. And now we throw it over to Ambi to build on this and correct me on the things I'm wrong.
No, he's very, very good off of the knockdown, even relative to the other Foxes. I've spoken about this a little bit in the past, but I think that like a lot of this is sort of a byproduct in all of Europe because of like sort of like the specter of how they used to play on PAL. this is like the thing that jumps out at me when you compare North American to European players, is that North American players in comparison seem a little bit spoiled by how broken their characters are in comparison to the European players. Because like, you know, the European players, they get a hit and they'll do everything off of it possible. Like there's definitely this big attitude of like, if there's a good thing to do here, you have to do it. Compared to America, where it's like, oh yeah, just do the cool thing, like just short
Lucky
hop up
comes
air
immediately to mind. Lucky's the kind of guy he'll win neutral a couple more times because he wanted to. You know?
And like it's not a knock on the American players at all, because it's like they overcome like their unoptimized parts of their game by being better at the game, which is like perfectly valid, right? But I think that Pipsqueak to me is like sort of like the top of the hill for European like perspective on the game, because I think that he really tries to play Fox like Fox is the most broken shit in the whole game. And being really good off of knockdown is sort of like one of the many things that comes to mind off of it. Like I think the big thing for me is like watching him versus Falco. Like he'll hit Falco and then he will just continue hitting Falco, and it's bizarre. It's just like he'll get you to the top platform and then he'll knock you down on the top platform and then continue to tech chase you on the top it like, dude, what are you doing? Like,
I thought this was over. Usually
he'll like
over.
F-tilt on the top platform to get a knockdown, and then like it's just it feels like nonsense half the time, but it's just like very much like thinking about specific situations and trying to get like a little bit more value out of all of them. So
is that so that idea is nothing new, right? There have always, I think since the game started, people who are like identifying the best thing to do all the time forever. But what makes him different applying this idea?
It's just like
being successful.
There's like a spectrum, right? When I talk about players like this, right? Where I think that it's sort of fallacious to put them in two boxes, because they're not really two bins of players, right? They're not like people like to meme that there's like heart and mind players or whatever, but it's really like more of a gradient where like some players like have flowcharts for like a lot of situations, but like there's still some stuff that they wing really well, and like they'll rely on their intuition for specific things, one versus the other. And I think the thing that jumps out to me about Pipsqueak's play specifically is that he really feels like he has everything thought of when you watch him play, right? It's very much like not a lot of it feels like he's improvising, right? Compared to other players who like you might see them be like generally flowcharty type players, but then like have some situation where they like do something that probably was not the best, but was like sort of improvised. I think Pipsqueak jumps out at me just as being like very focused on like all the little situations more than other players would probably be. And you know, like this is just my perspective, right? So I'm sure that like someone's gonna, you know, reply to me and be like, you don't know what you're talking about or whatever.
Or like Pipsqueak said this.
But I think he's very dedicated to getting value out of the situation compared to other players.
He is I mean, like you can go on his Twitter and like I said, wade through all the tweets, but he will talk about these really micro moments and how important they are. And of course, like a lot of people are doing that, but he'll be like, jump into laser or something like that, and then you act faster than whatever. Abby, can you help me out with this one? What is it?
You don't generally want to jump into laser.
Jump into shine. What was it? It was jump into dare. Jump into Falco dare.
Oh yeah, at a higher, and then you land because it doesn't knock you down.
Shine them out of it.
Yeah,
I do that on unranked with Jigglypuff. If you're playing Jigglypuff on unranked, do that. They jump into Falco dare and then rest. It'll just work.
They call it the envy.
I believe it. Yeah,
you might have got that. No. Oh, okay. Listen, really quick. I thought of a tech. I thought of something. And that I thought of this a long time ago, and I believe I'm the first one ever. It's if you're playing basically any character against Falco, you take a laser. Or no, you don't take a laser. When you know a laser is going to come out, you taunt and let the laser hit you. And then you react immediately after take laser. So you do take it. But you do it, you taunt them, and you let them cancel. And I found this out because I go for a lot of Falcon punches, and a lot of times I get lasered out of my Falcon punch and get to act. I call it the taunt laser cancel. One has thought of that.
I'll have to implement that. That's pretty good.
The TLC.
So if anyone out there,
you got to have a good taunt for this to be a good tech. The Falcon has a good taunt. Ganon, I think, would be really good at using this.
Ganon would be a great one.
Because the sound comes out frame 1. Fox would be a little bit hard. It's just like very subtle if you hit it with Fox, but
Falcon. Yeah, another aside. This, and I think I thought of this because I recalled an old money match versus it was SK versus Ringler. This was, I believe, a 1st to 5 for $500. This is when Ringler started out, and he was bad, and he thought that he was the shit. And Ringler, as we all know, is rich, and so he says to SK, this Fox player from SoCal, he's like, money match at $500. He's either best of 5 or a 1st to 5. But as I was told the recollection of this set is that it was a complete stomp, and on the final game, SK was taunting more than he was L canceling, and then beat Ringler, and then bought really nice shoes with the $500.
That's awesome.
So
yeah, I've heard stories of like doing ASDI down while you're taunting, and then I don't know, man.
That's useful sometimes.
I was gonna say, I assume it sounds useful, but like if we don't see, Leffen doing it all the time, it's like I'm sure that it's not extreme.
At Genesis 4, Mango up bead to dodge Leffen's up smash, and in Fox Falco on his last stock, he did that shit.
And one of the greatest of all time.
This is the kind of tech that it will emerge in those moments only by only the chosen few. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I've definitely seen Cobalt sets where he just like firefoxes. And it's like, what do you do? What do you do when this like person has a bunch of hitboxes around them? You can hit them, of course.
You gotta be ready.
But like the second you try to do it, then he just like he either goes over here or he hits you or something like that. Like I think I would get extremely tilted by anyone who is like firefoxing in neutral.
The Wiggle Snarf.
But not even the Wiggle Snarf, right? Isn't the Wiggle Snarf like then landing into the ground and doing something out of that?
Yeah.
No, I think I would like get hit by it, and then I would like try to lab it. Like the dumbest thing in the world, like the easiest.
It depends. It depends, because what comes to mind here is Slox. So Slox used to do this against Marth players, where he would side B into them with Fox. And if they could react to his side B, then he would stop doing it. And if they couldn't, he would just keep doing it. He would like dash dance and then side B at them. And I remember him doing this to several Marth players in New England and then being like, you can't react to side B. I don't know.
Oh, man. Well, either way, the game is still yet to be solved. With sources like me and Slox, who knows what's possible.
Two greats of the game.
Slime and Slox. Truly what is going to take Melee to the next level. And we have Slime in the scene, which is our next little topic. I believe that's going to be you waxing rhapsodic about what is the scene looking like right now? What's the future of the scene? This is basically something that you've been doing for the entirety of this episode.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. It happens.
Yeah. Ambi, was there anything specific that you wanted to ask Slime or get his opinion on?
Well, I think more just in general. Something that I think is just very interesting about your like sort of career trajectory within Smash is that I feel like you've touched like a lot of different areas, and I feel like you have like the most interesting perspective on like content in general in the scene. I think a lot of people sort of just like wing it, but I think specifically with stuff that you're a part of, there's a lot more deliberation on like how to get people engaged. And I think that's like what brought you to have like the perspective that you have about content? Because I think that's like definitely
now
very
by content, do you mean like recorded video content in specific?
Well, no, just like anything, right? Like, sure. I think that like you really do touch like a bunch of different mediums in your time in the community, and I think that's something that makes you stand out from other people.
I think that it's weird because I think there's always been this part of me that thinks this is all kind of stupid. In the way that like my dad would tell me that my dad once visited me for Christmas, and I remember I was playing Doom 2016 at the time, and I was just like, I was taking a couple days off work. He was hanging out at my place, and I'm just playing this game a couple hours a day, and he would make fun of me, and he would say, "You're wasting your time playing." And I'm fucking 26 years old, and I was like, and I got mad at him. But that thing, that has always been my life. So I've always had this preconceived notion that at the end of the day, this is all really stupid, even though I love it, even though I love all of this. And like, I've given so much time into like Melee and Dota and other games. And like in return, Melee has given me literally everything in my life. And there was always this feeling, and that became a source of like, I guess, perspective that allowed me to be comfortable doing things like that. Like Slime on the Scene, if I just, not to knock him, but if I'm Firepuff 12, that doesn't get made, because he could never try to tell Plup he was in a Pornhub comment section or something. He couldn't do that. And me being able to like, I guess, respect human beings, but also call what they're doing stupid in a way that is clever and somewhat respectful. And I think it's like that always gave me a perspective of what I did. And that drove everything. When I got a job at BTS, you know what I didn't like about my job at BTS was on show days is getting people to do shit they didn't want to do, like Mafia. It cracked my soul open. And because I didn't believe in Mafia, because I thought, oh, we're just getting people on camera. It's fucking, they don't want to do it. We're like, we're just drawing out this broadcast. It doesn't make me feel good. And that was like a source of I guess creativity in that perspective, but also like pain and frustration. And now I've kind of turned my gears around. And I think it's just because like living with Ludwig, like I've seen him turn so much into like all from the idea that it's okay to watch things and it's okay to be entertained and care about stuff that your dad doesn't think is cool. And and that's why I started taking commentary more seriously, in the past couple of years. And I don't know, but that's where it came from, thinking that this was all stupid.
I kind of get it. I feel like part of me really gets that.
It's an important, thing that you have to realize when you constantly, I mean, maybe I'm speaking for myself here. It's an important thing you have to realize when I'm constantly lying to coworkers about like where I'm going for this weekend. It's like, yeah, no, there's I got like friends in LA that I gotta see as I'm in Ontario, California.
Traveling? Wow. Every fucking time, dude, I had to tell my boss at my old job where I was going for the weekend. She asked me stuff, and like she's so cool and like she's the most normie human being in the world. And dude, my roommate when I moved to SoCal, he was like a 40-something-year-old like dude who just he loved Avengers movies and mimosas, and he was the sweetest human being ever. But I'd walk out of the apartment with my CRT in my hand every week to go to a local, and he'd be like every time like, so why don't you just get like one of the flat ones? And I'm like, every time I'd be like, no, we play on the old ones. It's like the old games. And it was like, fuck, dude, there is a shame to this, and not only a shame, but an extreme explanation. We always have this joke where it's like, if we go through the Starbucks drive-through, and like let's say the barista or the person in the cashier window is like, oh, how'd you guys you guys live together or something like that, and then Nick has to go like, yeah, okay, so in 2004, this guy Ken found out that you can up throw Falco on FD and you can catch him again. And it's like, that's where it's all got to start. And it sucks.
I feel like that's like, I think that really is what makes it feel like a subculture still. Even now, the fact that like the game is like relatively large compared to like earlier times in its history. Because like, I feel like if you don't get it, it's so dumb. Right. I think this is like a consistent thing with like the stuff that Melee Stats puts out, because it's like it all just looks so ridiculous. Right. I think the Michael Bananas example, I think, is sort of my favorite, where it's just like two people on FD not doing anything. And there's a crowd and they're cheering and they're like, what the fuck is happening? This is so ridiculous. I must continue watching.
Yeah,
so
there's definitely like an aspect of shame that runs through all of Melee Stats content. It's like, I love this thing. Dude, I get it. No, I know. Hear me out.
yeah, you got to do the hear me out.
But it's not even like convincing. like if you talk to the Alston Melee boys, you'd be like, yeah, damn, I don't know what this Melee thing is. They love it. It seems cool. But I would go on like a rant, like a non-confident rant. I'd be like, I mean, it's important, right? It's like you learn a lot of things about yourself and you get to see the world. Like I would.
Yeah. You try to validate and qualify all these things, dude. You know what changed me forever?
Like a recruiting high schoolers for the military.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you're trying to convince someone that what you are doing and spending thousands of hours of your life involved in is not weird. And there's this pretext that it is weird. And I think that's something we all grapple with. Something I will never, ever forget is I was at a tournament in Walmart when I was like a teenager. The Walmart in my town held a Halo tournament. And it was 4v4, like LAN, literally on the Xbox. It was sick. And my friend Will kept running us over in the Warthog and laughing. And he thought it was funny. We're so fucking mad at him. But I'm playing. We're playing Halo. And it's Blood Gulch, and I hear someone behind me. We're all standing. There's no chairs. It's very poorly put together. I hear someone behind me. Is this woman behind me? She's like with her husband or something, and she's folding her arms because I looked, and she said, "This is the stupidest thing I have ever seen." And I was like, "Oh no, is this stupid? Oh no." And it sucks, dude. Those moments, they stick with you. And the same shit my dad would say. It's like, man, but maybe there's a chance that it turns out that it becomes a source of your power and you make slime on the scene and then you become Ludwig's friend.
I care so deeply about what strangers think of me.
It sucks, right? Why are we like this?
I don't get it, man. Like, I remember, name drop, I remember being with Cyrox at Shine 2017. And I was talking about like, yeah, man, I like take off my badge immediately as I leave the venue. I don't want anyone to see me walking around with a badge on. I just can't imagine wearing all this gear around a city. And then Edwin, like, who is in our group, but for some reason is like speed walking ahead of us.
Yeah, Edwin's embarrassing you guys. Okay.
He just like needs to get to the sushi place first, just by the fact that we're all going there. He turns around at that moment and he is wearing a Shine volunteer shirt, a Shine hat, and his lanyard. And it's like,
and his keep calm, I'm a gamer t-shirt.
I don't get it, man. I like, my brain is wired differently. If you like something a lot, you need to feel shame for how much you like it.
Yeah. But also that, like, I think every time I hear that, you know, every time I explain why I like Melee to people, they're always captivated, not because I'm fucking charming or anything, but it's because I am just brimming with excitement for something I can barely explain. And people like that shit. People love when you love something. And that is a very positive, contagious thing of Melee. So, I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of the passion just comes from the fact that you have to be willing to grapple with how weird it looks from the outside, right? Like, that's what I think is really cool about the whole community, is that, like, you really have to like it enough to put up with the fact that it's so weird. You know what I mean? It's like, it needs to like overcome all of the feelings, which is like, I think it's a very captivating part of the game.
So in terms of like the other side of it, you said I've like touched a lot of parts of this weird gigantic elephant that is Melee, and I've seen how a lot of the sausage is made, and I will reiterate it. TOs just need to fucking hire a sales consultant. They do not know how valuable it is to have someone, to have a stream that 50,000 people watch for 8 hours straight. That is huge. That's huge. And they need to know how much that's worth and how to negotiate that kind of shit. And they can start to really they can make a sustainable ecosystem for this entire system of that goes to everybody if they so choose. One day I'll be able to tell all, but I know some shit that would make your fucking head spin, boys, in terms of how money has been hidden away from the people who deserve it the most. But we don't have to live like that anymore. You know, it's just these TOs got to really step up, figure out how to monetize their shit. Because if Ludwig can fucking have people knocking on his door, people should be knocking on, you know, for instance, Genesis's door all the time for that viewership.
Yeah, this is something that Tafo used to say like way back. Like I remember this is one of the first things that like he became like industry pilled after he moved to
Yeah.
working in sports full time instead of being at JPL. He was like, I don't understand why all of these people are not selling ads better. Like,
and or at what price? It's hard. You're not supposed to know it. It's a skill. That's why there's sales positions, because these people have a very specific set of like soft skills that you don't know what it's like. Like if you fuck things up with a client because you say one thing wrong, now you're out however many thousands of dollars. And TOs, who are usually Melee players, are they socially the best people all the time? Probably not. And that's okay. But that means find a specialist, find someone who knows exactly what they're doing, pay them, and get money back. And it's a hard pill to swallow, but it's doable. I promise you it's doable.
Okay, I think we're close enough away, or far enough away from the group therapy session that we almost ran into like 10 minutes ago. So I think we're in a little bit of a better headspace. We got some questions for you. So
yeah,
anyone in the chat, if you want to drop some questions, we're going to go through some questions that we had through our Patreon. But after that, if we have any good ones in the Twitch chat, we can probably read those out. So the first one, what's good, homie?
Oh, no.
What is good? Well,
what's good, homie?
Superman does good. I do well, homie.
Let's see. Okay. I love the patrons. These questions kind of suck. All right,
I do think that some of them were okay, but I think a lot of them were memes.
Pick an okay one, because I've got one from Chroma right here. What deep dive into SoCal Melee lore would you want to see as a Melee stats video?
What a great question. I'll let you guys answer first.
No, this is you.
You don't know the SoCal lore. You gotta help us.
Oh, it's that. Just for. Oh, okay.
I need to hear about how Aang the Avatar beat Didi or something, and how that was the best set of all time.
Pepis FD has been covered it quite extensively, but that would be my first go-to, selfishly. But I also think the SoCal Arcadian, in which Wieners was projected to absolutely destroy the tournament, and it ended up being Rock Leland on his ice climbers, taking the entire thing. And Trike also TOing the tournament intensely and then giving probably one of his best performances on the sticks ever. It's Kobayashi? My bad. All the San Diego Ices are the same. Even Dr. Light. They're all one human being to me. I think that'd be really sick. I think... because I'm new school, right? So there might be some really old school shit that I'm not even around for. Mangohan, if anyone played old Netplay, they know about Mangohan. That guy was a terror. I guess you could also do no, you shouldn't do that one. Give me 5 more seconds. 5 more seconds. You know what you could do? Squid versus Kira playing over 100 tournament sets in like a year. And literally, because Squid had a spreadsheet. We talked about it on the SCL broadcast the other day, but it was crazy. It was the all-time classic of SoCal, and it was sick. So those are my picks.
That'd be pretty cool to look
Absolutely. If it's Squid, it lives.
I think it's still around. Squid, one of the true spreadsheet fucks. I forget who called us a spreadsheet fuck in the beginning, but
wasn't it Curly? I feel like it was Curly. Or
maybe Curly
assigned himself that role. Fucks. It was one of that.
Speaking of Curly, I'm not sure if he's one of the people who've antagonized you on Twitter. He tends to do a good job of being chill and then antagonizing like Leffen or something.
Curly is very funny. I think Curly is one of the funniest people ever, and Curly does not fuck with me on Twitter, but only in Twitch chats, which in a way, I respect more.
I definitely see him poking around where he shouldn't be sometimes on Twitter, and I respect it. He's got a question. I didn't know if this was a true question or not until I said that they gave us bad questions and he got mad. But if Riot made a platform fighter that played almost identically to Project M or Project Plus, would that help or hurt the Melee scene?
I think it would ultimately hurt it. Yeah. But it's maybe that scene becomes like maybe the Melee scene just all goes over to the next game. It would have to be so sick because not even like Mango likes P+, like there's something about Melee that is timeless and weird, like Brood War. You don't want to play a new game. You want to play Brood War. You want to play Melee. And I think that the diehards will stay, but it'll be severely diminished, and this new game will explode and flourish and won't, it'll be just different. And I think it will fracture the scene.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be horrible that first year. Because it's like, well, I could fly to this Melee tournament, or I could go to this thing, get 17th, and get $2,000.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think you're right. And the thing with Melee is that it's like so passion oriented in the specific way, where like we talked about having shame for it, not being able to explain it, but like the way that I would explain it to people who don't understand it was, it's like, it gives me serotonin. I don't know why, but my brain feels very good when I am playing or watching it. And I think that just is what it comes down to is for so many Melee players. It's like you hear these stories about Street Fighter or whatever, and then like each pro is like, yeah, I mean, Alpha 2 was my favorite game, or CVS 2. It's like they all have their favorite that they haven't played in 10 years or whatever. It's got no scene. But they play the new one. That's what
have
they do.
To play the new one. Yeah.
And
that's what they envy about us.
Yeah, I mean, Melee doesn't have that. So like we could return to Forum. Would we ever hit 1,000-person tournaments again? I think that's maybe not the case. I don't know. We have Mario and Pikachu. Like that is something that Riot cannot have. I don't know, unless they buy.
I mean, we don't even have them, kinda, like.
But when we stream on Twitch, where there's Mario and Pikachu in the banner,
I know what you mean.
We own
like
them.
icons. I mean, people like to say icons sucked because of so many things, but it's also like there was a blandness to it, and it's hard to capture. Like Smash was a knockout because of the IP, and that is such a fucked reality to have to grapple with because the IP is owned by people who just literally don't know how to use Reddit,
Yeah.
And
one that we got from Twitch chat, which I will put slightly more tactfully than it was raised in Twitch chat, is what are your thoughts on Golden Guardian's branding and its new involvement in the Melee community as of late?
I think they're pretty hype. I think that, I mean, okay, so I am your resident, your neighborhood esports disliker. Everything about it makes me sick. The fact that it's like it's trying to be like normal sports, my dad would be furious, and thus I am ashamed. The idea that it's so sales based and that like, okay, so starting an esports team is a losing endeavor. It really is. You're losing money unless you're established and you have like this sweet drip of investor money that think their gamble is going to pay off. And there is an unease that so many of these teams are based on rich people gambling on them. And that pisses me off. And then you have to sell Doritos, and that pisses me off sometimes because, that's just a part of the machine. So saying all that and knowing all that, I think the Golden Guardians approach has actually been pretty understanding of what Melee means to the people that play it and the people that represent it. And they have done a good job of, they are doing the best out of everyone as a new team, because it's like you have to be a little cringe to do this, but they're the minimum amount of cringe. And I think it's really hard to do.
That's pretty fair, actually, yeah.
Yeah, pretty well put. Any other good questions you see?
Let me dig through. You guys in Twitch chat have a good one, which is not about Riot. We should not have asked that question. We should have picked another company that wasn't Riot.
Yeah, now the satellite orbiting the Earth will laser all of our houses at once.
Maybe this is a good way for us to go out.
Just screaming about how much we love Melee while being incinerated.
I'm sure that's probably what's going to happen to me. No, I think I'll probably have a heart attack while watching some. If I'm lucky, it's watching Mango win something.
The Big Fish, but it's not on a toilet.
Sure.
You get the reference?
Is that from the movie Big Fish?
Yeah.
I do not get the reference then. I'm sorry.
All right. It's all right. It's all right.
I
I just feel like you should have got it. It's all right.
Look, I don't get them all, okay?
All right, here's a decent question. How do you think international players, not necessarily from Europe, will fare, and how should they overcome the challenges they face, such as AMSA and Spud? I don't know if we'll be seeing Spud anytime soon.
Yeah,
but
I mean, this is a question that is very interesting and probably pretty sad if you want to talk about it. One, I'm not sure if Spud is playing Melee currently. And two, it'll probably be a while before we see any real significant non-European international competition that isn't AMSA. And that's not even a knock on the player base, right? That's like, dude, I'm not sure if Brazil is vaccinated enough to send Eisen Gobey over. That's the sad part of it, which I guess we don't need to get into, right? We already live in such a depressing environment that, like, we can live in this fantasy world where when we have a major, everyone can come.
I mean, yeah, that's the dream. I think that if Joshman makes it out, I think he's up next. I think
I am a believer.
Yeah,
we had another segment planned for this where we buy and sell stuff that we forgot to add to the overlay and then forgot about.
Well, no, it's an Edwin Budding stock exchange, and Edwin Budding's not here currently.
Oh, that's a fun idea.
We were gonna ask buy or sell on Sora.
Buy.
Buy.
And,
Buy.
I almost didn't want to do it because I think all three of us were gonna be buy, but
I would buy.
He was one of the questions.
He's sick. I do think Spud. It was interesting how Spud, he got voted into Smash Summit at 8, and it was like, I thought he would have done better, and that sounds kind of really harsh, right? But the way Spud makes you feel about Melee when he plays it, you're just like, this guy is the greatest thing ever to occur, and he makes you believe in that feeling, pure emotion when he does the combos he does, and I miss that. I miss feeling that way about Spud in particular, but also the LAN environment where it's like Spud got into Summit, or the X is going to this tournament, and it's something I can't wait for. But like we'd said, it's longer than everyone getting vaccinated in the summer in the U.S. It's like, okay, cool. Well, what about everyone else? And, sucks.
I'm surprised that there's not like an Aiden-shaped door or a hole in your door from mentioning Spud.
No, that only happens when you say Dacky 3 times in the mirror.
Aiden appears.
He just says, Dacky's sick, and then he just leaves the house.
Can we get a cameo from Aiden before this episode's over?
You want one?
I would love
Let
one.
me see if he's playing Valorant. Hold on.
In the meantime, we can just talk about whatever. One point, this is not about the international world. This is about you talked about like rich people gambling. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think like the current landscape is always going to be based on whether or not we are living in a moment where rich people think they can make money off of stuff. That's just how it is. Maybe it's always been like that, right? But like,
Yeah.
Increasingly the ideas are more dumb to an obvious extent. Like, I have a Movie Pass card in my wallet still because I knew at the time that was dumb. And I knew that it wasn't going to last, but I know that they called themselves the Uber of movies or something in a VC meeting, and they got enough millions of dollars to make it last. And I will cash in on that. And speaking of Uber, that could die. I think, there's a possibility where we have all these rides that are convenient and relatively cheap, and then go back to taxis or something when eventually they haven't made any money or something.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's all about like understanding when rich people have put millions of dollars into something very dumb and just embracing it, but also understanding that it's dumb. And like that's something that we went through in 2016, right? When it's like, damn, who's Cloud9 gonna sign next? Are we gonna see Cloud9 lucky?
Right.
Like, I don't think at the time we realized how dumb that was.
Well, yeah, I think that people are still that dumb. Your average Melee enjoyer, even though they're the pictures of the guy with the Chad, jaw structure, is that it's still all a pretty far cry. But I do think that's why Golden Guardians is this really interesting thing, because they are backed by a very established and understood idea of making money. That the NBA teams make money, and that's pretty good because they know how to make money in a different department, and they can apply these resources that have never before been applied to a Melee team. And that is kind of it's like a shining beacon of hope for creating a rubric in which other teams that aren't as resource backed, but to be more lean and smart to do the same thing. Which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, in 2016, we didn't realize how good we had it. We kept expecting, like, what's the next big team that's going to get into Melee? And it was dumb, but that kind of was happening. Every big team for a time was trying to dip their toes into it, or, maybe behind the scenes, the big ones that didn't dip their toes are figuring it out. And I think like we definitely got to a period where that was not the case, and still isn't the case really. So I think it's cool. Like we can appreciate this for what it is now, right? Like we aren't so involved in this always happening where we take it for granted. I think when people saw like Toph and Nun and PP get signed by this big team, it's like, wow, this is very cool. Like I don't think that this would have happened in 2019 or something, right?
Yeah, well, there's also this feeling of like, oh boy, get the bag, fellas, because this ain't gonna last. Because we've seen this a lot.
Yeah.
And that's what I hope. We just have to hope, fight on that lie that this time it'll be different.
I mean, what's the one joke that I tell people? It's like, you either die the hero or you live long enough to scam money from VCs.
Dude, that is so funny because it's true. Well, I will say, like, it's not all scam. Like sometimes the gamble pays off, but it's also these VCs, man. They just they have 20 bets going at a time, and they're not stupid. They maybe they don't understand what Counter-Strike is, but they know what a good money-making endeavor looks like and have seen them before. So it's weird. They're stupid in ways that actually aren't important that they're stupid in. At least from what I've been told. Because I don't know any VCs.
Nor do I.
I know. I think Melee is always going to be a gamble worth taking in like ebbs and flows, right? I think that we will run into times in the next, if we last 10 years, I'm sure we're going to run into times where it seems a little dire. And then I'm sure 3 years later, people are going to be like, I'll put a lot of money into that. I'll see how that's going to work out. Like people, I think it's going to be a horse that's going to be continually gambled on, which right now they're paying. So we have the like mindset that this is not going to last, which maybe we did not have at the big esports bubble. So we have some clarity here, which is much needed in these parts.
Oh boy.
What's the Aiden sitch?
I messaged him. I said, come upstairs. They want a cameo. I'm going to go all of them out. I'll be right back.
All right, I'll talk to Ambi. How's the show?
It's going good. How is it going for you, my friend?
I'm doing well. How is your 64-ounce water bottle?
Where are we at? I filled it up before the show and I drank 11 milliliters. So not a crazy amount.
Yours doesn't have the dumb things where it says like 7 a.m. Start chugging.
I specifically did not want to buy those because mine has the times which like do not reflect when I wake up every day. But I thought like the ones that are like, oh, this is torture. I don't want to do this.
It's definitely based on the idea that no one likes to drink water.
Hello
my!
Hello.
Who is this?
What's up?
My good friend,
What's up, dude?
Aiden. This is so sick. This is a crossover episode.
2 for 1.
And look at you. I didn't even know who this was. This buff dude walking in.
Yeah, fucking
This
shredded,
hunk.
you know. Slightly less twiggy than I was.
What's going on? You got facial hair now too?
Yeah, this is just laziness. So
Yeah, no, I feel
Dude,
bad.
I
my mom just commented about it. My mom called me and she's like, "Are you shaving in a goatee?" And I'm like, "No, it just doesn't grow in here. It's just how it comes in."
I think I'm gonna next time I see you, you're gonna be like Dark Rain 2.
Oh, that's the goal.
dream,
I want to
dude.
look like Dark Rain from that Evo, dude. I want to see if it works out, but yeah, what's going on? So is this cameo? Am I just showing up, or are we like talking about some shit?
Oh, we can talk here.
We're like
level with
2
me here.
hours
What
in,
is what is
so-
Timmy's chances at the European spot of the qualifier?
Don't make me do Timmy like that, man. I think like realistically, I we can say it like right now. So Leffen doesn't count for this. It'll be announced like officially soon, but Leffen's just going to be invited no matter what.
Oh shit! Okay.
So Leffen, like take Leffen out of this equation.
Damn.
Okay, now I feel like Timmy could actually do it.
Wait, he can't qualify as box Leffen, right? He can't just be
As a
2
different
spots in
player,
bracket.
he gets 2 spots in Summit, box Leffen and normal Leffen, and then if he has to play himself at some point.
Make it
But
happen.
I think Timmy's chances are. I think like Timmy's really good, and he's like at that like kind of tier 2 of Europe for sure. But I think it's like from performances across the past few months, it's like it's honestly hard to imagine it being anybody but Pipsqueak or Triff or maybe Frenzy. I think
Right.
Sechi could do it if his school
the big
internet
question.
worked.
I love this. This is like when you try to make fun of someone and they are just like too passionate to get made fun of. It like bounces right off. It's like if you try to make fun of Edwin for like liking Dream Theater, it doesn't work because then he goes on about how great Dream Theater is, and you're having to sit there and listen to it. I love this.
And I just
You
love
have so much
you, man.
passion for Timmy.
All right, how about this?
Timmy's
How about
fucking
this?
awesome.
I have another good one for Aiden. Does Ice come back for Smash World Tour?
Yeah, I think so.
You think so?
I think so because he's playing right now, right? We talked about
He
this.
went to
briefly
one
today.
tournament.
He entered the last one. He's entering Regen, right?
Mhm.
I think the
very
thing
most
with
recent.
Ice. So me like, I'd consider Ice like a good friend. And we were sitting next to each other at Genesis during top 8. And we talked to each other in the venue like earlier in the weekend too, because it was just like watching his whole run through bracket because it'd been a while since he entered something in the States,
I think we watched him play Dacky.
Yeah, we watched him play Dacky, and Dacky almost fucking won too. It was
I
so
know,
sick.
dude.
It was so sick. And then later, I think we just like talked about like what he's been up to and like how he's been feeling and stuff. And I think it's funny because people see him as inactive and like maybe stepping away from the game. But when he talks about Melee and like what he wants to do with his life, it's still all about like playing Melee and like being a top competitor. And I think the way he's just approaching competing has changed. Like it has to be different in his head. Like the frequency of competition must matter a lot less to him somehow, because it's very clearly on his mind still, and he still practices and he still streams, so he still cares. I think just the rate at which he enters stuff has like changed dramatically, and I think we can like see it through the way he like talks about the game and like the things he's been through in the past few years and the way he's like trained and approached it. I think he's just like really, really big about mentality and like competing when he feels right. And I think we'll see him. I think we'll see Ice for like a long time to come. He just kind of enters at his own pace now.
That's a good take.
Yeah, that's an Aiden take. This is fun. It's like a shot to come, right? This is there's going to be an Aiden episode. We haven't planned anything.
I'm sure.
I haven't asked Aiden, but I think we're all under the understanding that there's going to be an Aiden episode. So
I'm psyched.
I love getting the taste of it.
Dude, you know what? I just found out today that you have an emote of me in the Discord. I didn't know.
Yes.
We use it whenever we talk about Europe. It's either you or the Taros emote.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. I had a cutout of your face just because we had you on deep dives, so I had to make that to put you on the little diver guy.
Yes,
and
I do
think
remember that.
We got boosted, so we just had a ton of emotes based. I was just like, okay, Aiden emote. Fat Goku emote, I think, still exists.
Steven.
You know, you can join the Melee Stats Discord and use those fun PNW emotes. Do you still consider yourself Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, for sure. I think I definitely on paper I'm SoCal now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think allegiances lie where with you kind of grew and what scene you grew up with, and I think Pacific Northwest is definitely dear to my heart. Like all the players that Dacky's probably the best example right now. It's I've played against Dacky for many years, and Dacky's been this small, humble boy going to tournaments for a long time, and now he's finally popping off. I feel a great sense of pride for that.
Do his parents know about this?
Dude, that's exactly. I'm thinking it every week. I'm not even kidding. I'm thinking about it every week. It's dude, do his parents know he's competing on the biggest stage in the game right now? Because
they gotta know.
Dude, do the people know about the Genesis trip?
Tell us about the Genesis trip.
Okay. So for context, Dacky's parents for a long time, when he was in high school, even when he's in college, because I think he's 20 or 19 now, but I think he still lives at home. They didn't like him competing in Melee. They think it's some sort of waste of time, right? Which, depending on how you approach the game. Or perhaps if your parents don't value the social aspect of it or something like that, right? So Dacky would have to sneak to tournaments. He always has to lie to leave the house and say he's going to a study group or something like that, right? And he's done this for years. So his parents must think he's the most studious man alive. And this slowly progressed into greater instances of him traveling further away, right? Because he's barely been able to travel at all. The culmination of this is the first tournament that Dacky goes to in Oregon, which was just a couple years ago. And Dacky has to leave for 2 entire days. Somehow convinced his parents that this has nothing to do with Melee or video games, right? Then the pinnacle of it is the beginning of 2020, where he literally travels to Northern California without his parents knowing, disappears for 4 days, and comes back home. And somehow there was no repercussions, they didn't find out. At least as far as I know. So he's been lying to his parents for literally almost 6 years about going to Melee tournaments.
This is amazing. If he ever makes top 100, which it's a matter of if he competes enough, I will blur his face out. I will
just
use an alias
to protect him.
It's when they have those people in the dark scenes and they've got the lowered voice. That's what we'll do for him.
That's perfect.
Anytime.
Keep his identity secret.
Actually, I will take the bullet. I will use my picture and my name. And when he's on stream, I will be sitting on a different chair with a GameCube controller in my hand just for the stream setup. Just for the layout of the stream for the people at home.
And people who have only watched him in the Netplay era will come up to you at tournaments and be like, "Oh shit,
I'm going to be signing stuff.
You're so good."
When he eventually beats Plup, I'm going to take a bunch of pictures with people.
Perfect. I'm glad you guys have a plan laid out for this.
And the thing is that there's so many people who look like me in the scene already. That'll be like, wait, aren't you Wheat? And I'm like, you're thinking of chess.
No, I'm Weedle, dude.
Yeah, what are you talking about? It's the perfect plan. It can't mess up. All right, I'm going to have to do the hardest thing in the world. I'm going to have to tell you to get off because we are running over 2 hours.
That's totally fine.
I need to save this for a real late enough.
I'm glad we had this short time together. I'll get the man of the hour back on.
Want to plug something?
I'm good. I don't have anything to
Dude,
plug.
Spud,
Spud, if you're somehow watching this, just fucking play, man. Just fucking start playing again, man.
Told you guys.
This guy.
He's a one note guy, bro. It's Spud or Dacky, and that's all he cares about.
He's like a cartoon character. It's amazing.
I like Timmy. I like Pipsqueak.
He likes Timmy, he likes Pipsqueak. He's saying he's multifaceted. Yeah, man.
He's got his type for sure.
He is the I've heard this live. I heard a bootleg of this live, so I guess I'm kind of a real fan. That's him.
All right, well, let's stop the bleeding. I'm seeing that our stream numbers are going down.
Wow.
This must be only thing that can make sense is not that we're running for 2 hours on a podcast. The only thing that can make sense is that Aiden left. So let's stop the bleeding. I appreciate your time so much. You, the mogul of mogul moves, spending so much time with us little guys.
Everyone thinks I'm like, what? Go ahead.
Someone gave me the chance to get $1,200 or dinner with slime. I'm taking dinner with slime because I can learn how to make $1,200.
No. Take the 1,200. I cannot show you.
I'm taking a 2-hour podcast with slime.
Dude, okay, I'll leave you with this final story. Before quarantine dropped, we all went to go see Uncut Gems as a house, and we watched the movie. It's a great movie. We're walking out of the theater, and it was Ludwig, me, Nick, Aiden, and we're walking out of the theater, and we're just like talking about the movie and stuff like that. And Ludwig was just like, the thing is, I don't get like why were they so mad at him over $100,000? And we all just turned to him, and we're like, "Are you kidding? Like, are you being an asshole right now?" And he's like, "No, it's like not that much." And we're like, "Go fuck yourself, dude." And that's the kind of environment that we continue to hold him true to this day.
What a very interesting plug.
It's not a plug.
Sub to that man.
Yeah, Ludwig's great. I will say he's just one of the most. He's actually so genuine. And the subathon, it was like, oh yeah, he's always putting on a show. It's like, no, that's how literally it always is all the time. And he's very thoughtful. Melee is also something he cares a ton about. I think he'll talk about this later on, but he purchased the rights to restream SCL.
Yeah, I saw the clip.
So, he did a clip. Yeah. So yeah, it's just more people getting into Melee, learning about Melee, watching it, and that's something that he doesn't have to do, but he just wants to. As well as that guy who cheated on rollback and unfortunately matched up against Ludwig. Like, the odds are insane for that to happen to that person. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
It's wild how we really wanted Ninja to do something for Smash. Remember that when Ninja was like, I'll do this for Smash if Mango wins or whatever.
Yeah.
And now we just have this. We have the guy who's bigger than Ninja, who's just so indebted to Melee. I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, oh yeah, that thing we probably do have right now. We probably already have it. I appreciate it. It's also, it pains me to say this as a former Ludwig skeptic, but it is very good to have someone who actually knows entertainment value to be on top of Twitch. Any of those Ninja videos where he's in the Bon Appetit kitchen?
Ninja, okay, I watch Ninja streams all the time because he plays Valorant. He is very unhappy, and it's crazy. Money does not buy it. It solves problems, but it doesn't solve the big ones in your head and your mind, Ninja. So jot that down. But I also will say, Ludwig got a lot of shit early on. A lot of people from Melee community specifically would just shit on him and DM. He showed me just DM scrolling these people just say I'm a fake, say I'm an asshole, say I'm a sellout, all this shit. This was when he had 200 viewers and how much I hated him. And it's listen, man, hate all you want, but you bet on the wrong horse. So hold that when you're watching LACS4.
What we got to do is we have to unearth the footage of Hotels.com when they filmed Ambi versus Ludwig at EVO 2018.
You played Ludwig? Did you?
Yeah,
you beat him, right?
It was So we played one game, and he I sat down, and then Ludwig sat down at my setup with his whole camera entourage behind him, And like I was just like really really uncomfortable. I was like, what's happening? He's like, what's up, man? He picks Jigglypuff because he plays Jigglypuff. And then like the first thing I do is side B off the stage because I'm like looking behind myself because like this guy's holding this boom mic over my head. And he homie stalks me with Jigglypuff, and I'm like, oh my god.
what a terrible experience you had.
Yeah, I was like, no, dude, I'm gonna be in a commercial getting homie stalked.
But that was tournament?
No, it was just friendlies. It was at like Evo. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it was Evo. Yeah. I thought it was on tournament because in that ad they go through his like bracket run, and it's very funny. So.
Yeah, we gotta unearth this. You'll see this on those YouTube videos where it talks about lost media. This is gonna be on there.
Yeah,
the Ambi Ludwig game.
It's like the AI that like posts its own art, and it's like it just turns out it's an Ambi Ludwig set from years ago.
We'll sell it as an NFT or something.
No, please. Anything but that.
All right. Well, this is the longest episode we've done. We've done 2 episodes. So,
hey,
this is the
hell yeah, episode. Record holder, me.
And get this, I won't let anyone break it. I will end the stream forcibly if we ever get there.
Yeah.
You can keep
Slime
the
needs a W.
Spot.
I live with the human W. I need one.
Get a big dub. Men posting their W's. Which,
this is certainly not that. No one helped me find a lizard and became my friend or anything.
I was talking to my friend about it. He thought I was very just like sad all the time because I was like, there's a 60% chance that dudes posting their W's will be all right by the end of the year.
Oh yeah, always.
That's my
it's like
take
gravity.
on it.
Yeah.
Eventually someone will like beat an assault charge or something, and that's going to be on there. But until then, yeah, it'll be about finding lizards. And you. All right. Thank you so much for being on. Thank you so much for your time. It's time for you to plug anything if you want.
I got nothing to plug. I think that if I could plug anything, no, I mean that's already there. I think if I could ask one thing, it is just support SCL and BTS. They're I used to work there, and I know the ins and outs. And it is when you talk about like esports vultures and shit, that is a company that tries to do everything by the books and as fair as possible for the people that contribute their valuable time as competitors and staff and all that stuff. So, yeah, I that's why I can say no to things when they ask me, but I don't because I respect them a lot. So, shout out to BTS.
I appreciate it so much. I appreciate it from the viewers for week 2. And no SCL next week. They'll be taking a break. But waiting for game does not take breaks. Melee Stats does not take a break. We will see you next week.
Can't all have a day off.
Grinding every day. If you want to follow the grind, you can do so at Melee Stats Pod on Twitter. You can join our Discord to chat with us. You could join our Discord and then get a special little colored roll, a purple-blue color, by joining us on patreon.com. And I think that's basically it. I mean, of course, Twitch channel and YouTube. We've got 2 channels, one that'll upload our podcasts and kind of extra videos called Melee Stats Archive, and the Melee Stats channel, where you can watch our long-form content about sets that probably don't matter.
Kira versus Squid, set 100.
Maybe that's the next one.
That'd be a good one.
All right.
Also, our Patreon, because the Nook's going to get mad at us.
I already shilled the Patreon.
Did you Patreon? Okay. I thought I
made Patreon.com/Melee Stats. Anoke, Edwin Bunning cannot get mad at us.
All right.
My boss cannot get mad. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Bye, everybody.